Hey everybody, this is Perrin from nichepursuits.com, and we are back for the coaching call for week number 2. And of course, I have my Padawan, Colleen Kinsey. Colleen, how's it going?
It's good.
Good. Let's just dive right into it. Let's recap last week, and then I'll get some feedback from you, and we can talk about what all you did, because I think we made a ton of progress, and then we can go into what you're going to do this week. And I hope the audio is better. We've been fiddling with it for a while now, and you got some new headphones and stuff, so I think you're going to be at least a little bit louder.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So apologies for that last week. We are trying. Anyway, so this is what we did last week. We decided, first of all, on our approach, and that was to start with data-driven market research. The conventional wisdom, at least for the last niche site project, was to start with keyword research, to try to find a really good keyword and build a site around it. We went in a different direction. We wanted to make sure that the market itself was good, and so that's where we started. We also talked about what makes a good market, and for us, it was finding lots of low DA blogs with high traffic so that we knew that we could create a successful blog with an achievable amount of SEO work. And we also walked through a process for finding all those blogs and for using SEMrush. And we're going to get into the details, and we have screenshots of the actual research and all the spreadsheets and all that awesome juicy stuff that you actually did last week. But first, give me your general impressions for, how it went, what you thought, and kind of your thoughts moving into this week.
Yeah, so I think at the beginning, I kind of struggled to find a good market. Some of my brainstorming ideas weren't the best for selling products. I was definitely trying to think of some of my own hobbies, and I found out that maybe I'm a really cheap person or really stingy, because a lot of my hobbies, you don't buy a lot of things. Like for volleyball, all you really need is a ball.
Yeah, for sure.
Not that much, but I think that after getting some of your guidance, it kind of put me on the right track to going down that road.
Cool, yeah. And how did you feel about the actual work of starting to do the SEO? Because I know a lot of people are new to this, and you're pretty much brand new. This is the first site that you've built so far.
Yeah, it was really exciting, and I think that the way you laid it out, it was pretty cut and dry what I was looking for, and it was kind of easy to see if a market was good or not by doing the research and from some of the blogs and websites that I found. I had some that were really easy to find, low DA and high traffic, and other ones it was definitely a struggle. And I also found which interests were not going to be good because I got bored just doing the blog research. So that kind of narrowed it down too. Yeah,
that's totally important. Writing about stuff that you're actually interested in is, I think, highly underrated, and I know Spencer and Samara are talking about that too. So I think it's important. Let's talk about some of the actual stuff that you've been doing. So you've been hard at work finding some awesome markets, and your first try, kind of like how you mentioned, was a total whiff. So you sent me a bunch of research, and I was like, yeah, these aren't going to work. And we had a good chuckle about it. And if you remember my first coaching call, when I sent Spencer my first batch of research, it was also a total whiff. I was finding lots of bad data that I thought looked good. So it was a total whiff at first, but it was an awesome teaching opportunity, and I think an awesome learning opportunity for you. It's going to be a really good learning opportunity for the listeners and viewers, and it gave us a chance to pivot and find some really good stuff. So let's look at the fails. So here's an example of some of our fails. Corporate living, tall people, and I think for tall people, you just wanted it to be a blog of pictures of really tall people, right?
No, absolutely not. I could look in the mirror then.
Yeah, but you want to tall people stuff, tall people pants.
Yeah, things that tall people need to buy that average people have easy access to.
Right, yeah. Mrs. Fix-It, I think, really is a cool idea for a blog. sort of a home improvement type blog from a female perspective, writing for a mostly female audience. Really cool idea, but I just don't think there were many products there, and I think it was a little bit too narrow to find some blogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then life hacks, also a super cool idea for a blog. Lots of really great examples of life hack blogs out there, but again, a little tough to find some products. So a recap of why these didn't work really were just for two reasons. Some were way too specific, I thought. Mostly like corporate living and tall people. Those are niches and those are real problems, but I thought that they were just a little bit too specific for us to create a really profitable blog. Not to say that you couldn't, but just with something that niche, it would take a little bit more effort. The marketing would be a little bit more difficult because you wouldn't have as many people to reach out to. And you might have to create a more expensive product and like that sort of thing. But the main reason that we were turning down some of these blogs is that there were no products to sell. So we really don't want to create a website that's only writing about Amazon products. But we are going to use the Amazon Associates program as a way to monetize our site, get some money coming in the door, and then use that for growth. So we do need products in these markets to write about. And for some of these, like corporate living and tall people and life hacks, actually all of them, there just weren't many products to write about. So we had to pivot. When we did that, we kind of refocused on two of the main ideas of what makes a good market, and that was that we want big markets, so something that's not narrow and specific, with lots of physical products. We want to do that because we are looking to use the Amazon Associates program, obviously, but also we know that there are lots of opportunities beyond this, or beyond just the Amazon Associates program, that you can leverage if there are lots of physical products in your market. So you might go into Amazon FBA, you might have an e-commerce product, or, excuse me one second, like the guys at Digital Marketer, they use small physical products as a way to capture emails. So there are just more opportunities with big markets that have lots of products. So that's kind of where we refocused. We also added a research tactic, and I don't know, you tell me if this made it easier for you, because we did the last coaching call, and I showed you how to do it, and we did some good examples of how to find these low DA blogs with high traffic. And then I sent you like a frantic Skype message late at night, a couple days later. And I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about this one specific thing. And that is to find one good model blog, which is what we're calling those low DA blogs with high traffic, and then look at their competitor map in SEM Rush. And so maybe I can pull one of those up. I actually didn't have one planned to pull up, but I think it'd be good to look at. So maybe while I do that, you talk about whether or not that made it easier for you.
Yeah, I thought that that was really good, because then it looked in kind of the direct range of the blog that I'm looking at or trying to model. And I don't know if you're going to mention this, but I also found it really helpful looking at alltop.com, because that was a really great way to curate ideas and kind of look at a variety of blogs from a different aspect too.
For sure, yeah, and that's actually where I started when I was looking in my market that I'm in now. So here's an example. We're going to show you this SEM Rush data as a different example later. But if you're still in phase one and you're looking for these low DA blogs with high traffic, find a good model blog. This is one of the model blogs that we found on the last call, Big Game Logic. If you scroll down in the dashboard of SEM Rush, you can see all of their competitors. And if you just click on these, you can find similar sites, and usually these will be low DA blogs with similar amounts of traffic. And the size of the bubble here shows you the relative amount of traffic and the keywords that are overlapping and the number of, or you can even hover over them and see the number of positions or keywords and the level of traffic. So if you're still in phase one, this is probably a really great way to find blogs, because really you can follow your nose forever. So say you click on one of these, you could scroll down and find their competitors. And if you just keep looking at competitors of competitors of competitors, it should give you a pretty good list of low DA blogs with high traffic. Anyway, we added that tactic. And here is what we found. So give us maybe a short walkthrough. I know this is blurred out and it might be a little bit tough to talk about, but give me a quick walkthrough of what you were doing here.
Okay, so what I did is I kind of after we talked again, I kind of re-brainstormed some market ideas and ran them past you. And then what I would do is if they had, a low DA, so preferably under 30, and then a higher traffic, your model blog was about 20,000. It was kind of hard to get that perfect sweet spot, but I was able to find some that were in that range. So I put the model blog in column B and then put the link of the statistics in SEMrush and put the DA and the traffic and then also their keyword positions. And I tried to do you suggested putting the content types in that last column, which was kind of helpful because then it would jog my memory for which website I was looking at.
Totally. And we kind of figured out during the research that some of these markets had lots of low DA blogs with high traffic, but they were maybe, say, all product blogs. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But we wanted to make sure there was a good mix, So, for example, if you were looking into the hunting niche and you found lots of low DA blogs with high traffic, but they were all hunting rifle reviews, you might not want to go into that niche because we are looking to create a more well-rounded site, a true authority site. We don't want to just review one type of hunting rifle. We want to also write about tips or tricks, or maybe we're going to make a Pinterest play and create galleries. Who knows? But the idea is that we kind of wanted to find some balanced blogs. So we just added this because we thought it would be useful for our research as we started to look at these markets more in depth. One of the lessons here... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to point out, too, that it's markets that have also informational articles and not just product reviews. I know you said products, but I wanted to put the informational in there, too. Yeah,
totally. We specifically wanted to find websites that had some good informational articles that were generating traffic in these markets, right?
Yes.
Cool. So, and I think what you brought up is a really important lesson. It's really tough to find that sweet spot blog. So during your research, sometimes you do have to make concessions. Like maybe you find a blog with high traffic, but it's got a little bit higher DA. Maybe you find a blog with a low DA, but it doesn't quite have the traffic. And that's okay because you can combine all of your research efforts, right? So for any market, we're not going to stop at 5 model blogs when we do our research. We're going to have quite a big list when we are finished of model blogs that we can draw from, right? And if all of those have good traffic but not super high traffic, maybe say they're all getting 1,000 visits a day, that's okay because when we combine them, we can model all of their content together, basically steal their keywords in an ethical way. So you don't necessarily need that golden blog because in total, all of the data from all of the blogs you find, you can use. And together, it can come out to be lots of traffic. So that's a good lesson. Some of these look good, but we actually decided to cut a few immediately. And here are some of the reasons. If I'm leaving anything out, please jump in. Some of them were seasonal. So there was one market in particular we thought looked really cool, but it's just seasonal. And we want to make money all year round, especially for a case study where we want to report bigger and bigger numbers every single month. So seasonal blogs really didn't do it for us. You can make great money with these types of blogs. It just wasn't right for us. In some markets, it was tough to find low DA blogs. And that wasn't very encouraging because we want to, the big point of looking at these model blogs is to verify that it's going to be easy for us to get traffic, right? And so if it's tough to find low DA blogs doing well, that's a sign that that market is hard. And I've made that mistake personally before, like looking at markets where the keywords looked really good on paper, but I didn't find any low DA blogs with high traffic, and the market turned out to be super, super tough. So some of these markets looked pretty good, but it was difficult to find low DA blogs, so we ended up just cutting them because we wanted to narrow it down anyway. Some of the markets had low DA blogs with high traffic, but they had lots and lots of pages. So if there's a low DA, and this is something that we didn't talk about last time, if there's a low DA blog with high traffic, but it's got like 30,000 pages, that's a sign that they're mostly getting their traffic because they have incredible amounts of content. We don't have the time or the budget to create incredible amounts of content. We want to find blogs with low DA that have high traffic with maybe a couple hundred pages, because anytime you look at the number of pages indexed, some of them are going to be images or whatever. We want to find blogs that are doing well with under 500 pages of traffic or maybe a little bit over, because that's something we could do in 1 or 2 years. So some of the markets that had successful blogs but had blogs with like tons and tons of content, we cut those. And lastly, we cut some because they weren't just fun for you, right?
Right. I think I put specifically blah ...
Right.
on one of them.
Yeah, and we want this to be fun for you. We're aiming to make this a business for you, something that you can do for a very long time. You don't want to do like industrial welding or something crazy boring that is not fun for you to think about. So we ended up cutting some of those. Am I missing anything?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about how you found how many pages a blog would have?
Yeah, so that's, why don't you tell people, because it's...
Well, I didn't know it, so I learned something new.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just go to Google and do site : and then the website name, usually like how many searches come up is how many pages are listed on the blog.
Yep, super easy. Yep, just a little SEO hack. It's just a advanced query on Google, site : and then the domain, and you'll be able to see how many pages are indexed. Some of those, and not all that's content, but it'll give you a rough approximation. So, from that big list, I think we had like 7 or something markets that we were looking into. We narrowed it down to 3, and we did even more research, because this is probably the biggest decision of the whole project, is picking a good market. So we narrowed it down to 3, and then we kept looking into them. Here's what we ended up with. So why don't you maybe walk us through how your view on these markets changed after doing kind of the second round of research?
Yeah, so basically what I did is tried to find even more model blogs. And I think that this kind of helped out to see a bigger glance of what traffic was doing and how many positions and how many pages they had, because I was able kind of to rule some out that had a ton of pages, because I wouldn't want to have to write that many just to get to that high of a position or that high of a DA or low.
Right. So
you know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're trying to say, and I think everybody else does too. So yeah, we're with you.
Okay.
But yeah, so we added one more metric, which is the number of pages. So what we're really looking for here is a really good ratio between DA, traffic, and the number of pages, right? So if you're going out and doing your own research, that's kind of what you want to look for. I never have looked at pages. I've always just kind of got a feel for the blogs that I was looking at, but I think it's a really good practice for everybody, including myself, going forward, is to look at the number of pages a site has, because some blogs that have low DA, high traffic can be deceptive. So if you're doing this using our approach, go ahead and record that too, because it's super useful. What you don't see here is another column to the right that has tons of notes about what types of content these blogs had, because one of the things that you were finding, Colleen, was that some of these blogs had types of content that we didn't want to write about. I don't think we need to give those away, because it might give your chosen market away. But there were some blogs that looked like they were doing really well, but they were all writing about a specific type of content, and it's just not something that you wanted to write about, correct?
Right. Or even the exact keyword was the website, and it was super niche.
Right, yeah. So an example would be, bestpodcastingmicrophonereviews.com or whatever. That site might be making a little bit of money, but it's a little bit, it doesn't give us the opportunities that we're looking for. We are looking for sites we can model and take lots of different opportunities from. So if it's a super niche site that's writing about one specific thing, it really doesn't matter if it gets super high traffic, because we're not going to go write 50 articles about that different thing. Our blogs are going to be a little bit more general, a little bit more authority, at least in the beginning. Like, maybe 2 years down the road, you might have the resources to have a subcategory of 50 podcasting microphones if that was your niche or whatever. But right now we're not. So we were getting a feel for that and recording content types and those types of notes just to help us get a better feel for the market. But in the end, we ended up with 3 markets.
Yes.
And really, go ahead.
Yeah, and then I slept on it because I had to decide. I think we narrowed one out, and then I had to decide between 2. So I slept on it last night, and then this morning I pinged Perrin to let him know that I had made the final decision. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that was your final decision. That's good. Because really we think we can make all of these work. I'm glad you made a decision, though. And I think it's a good call. I'm super excited. And you guys can't know, so...
Haha.
You have to wait. But really, honestly, these were 3 solid markets, and I think we can make any of them work. But I guess one was a standout. So I didn't know that was your final decision. So I'm going to give people some additional work to do. If you are choosing between markets yourself, and for you, Colleen, your assignment will be a little bit different than what's actually on here, but it's still going to work. So,
and I think that I need to use it to validate that I made the right choice, right?
Sure, yeah. So what we want to do, if you have a couple markets you're going through, or say if Colleen had a couple markets she was deciding between, is to do preliminary keyword research. For you, Colleen, if you really want to do that one market, this will just be your starting keyword research for that market. Or for any listeners out there, if you've already picked a market, this can be your next step for doing your preliminary keyword research. So let's talk about how we're going to do it. Generally, like there are many types of content you can do for a site. But generally, to start, we want 2 types of keywords. We want product keywords, which are the types of keywords you've all seen me write about on my shaving blog. You've seen us talk about. If you're a member of Longtail University, you have seen us write about these types of keywords. But one of the types of keywords we want, the one that's going to start bringing in money, are product keywords. The other type of keyword is informational keywords. This really could be anything. The way I typically like to do these is find really, really, really low competition keywords and to write shorter articles on them that I can write more of. So I'm talking 700 or 1,000 words, right? But we want to find both of these types of keywords. If you were going to hazard a guess, Colleen, why would you say that we want both?
So that you can attract different types of people, or if they're looking at one page, then it may lead them to the next?
Yes, both of those are true. No, those are really good answers. You do want to attract different types of people. You want to attract different types of search queries. Also, you want to make a well-rounded site. So one of the biggest mistakes I see with most niche sites is that people will have a site about podcasting microphones, and then every single page on the site is about podcasting microphones. And there's something to be said for gaining topical authority. But that site that has 40 pages about podcasting microphones has a really low ceiling. There are only so many articles you can write about podcasting microphones. So we want a well-rounded site that gives us more opportunities to write about more stuff. Also, informational keywords give us different opportunities for capturing emails, and they give us opportunities to make different types of revenue, right? So writing product articles will help us make money from Amazon Associates, maybe even FBA and e-commerce down the road. These smaller, easier info articles, we can pump out lots of these. And if they're good quality, they can end up making us quite a bit of AdSense revenue. This is something that's really pretty new to me. But in my site, or with my newest site in the pets niche, I'm making, for the first time in my life, really decent money with AdSense. It's getting close to $700 or $800 a month. And it's because I found these awesome little super low competition keywords, usually that are asking really specific questions, and then I'm just answering that question for the searcher. So it provides a really great user experience, it answers a really specific question, and those bring in quite a bit of traffic. My highest traffic article on my whole site is one of those informational keywords. So in the end, if you want to create an authority site, you can't just do product reviews. You have to answer questions for people in that market. So if you have a hunting blog and you're just reviewing hunting rifles, you're really missing an opportunity to connect with people who are asking real questions in that market. Maybe it's how to clean a hunting rifle. Maybe it's about how to camouflage yourself while you're hunting. Maybe it's about what scents to cover yourself with if you're going on a deer hunt. Who knows? But those questions give you an opportunity to connect with people, and authority sites do that. There aren't any authority sites out there that are only product review blogs, with a few really outstanding exceptions like Outdoor Gear Lab and The Wirecutter. Sites that are really difficult to emulate. In general, the authority sites that we want to emulate are doing all kinds of content, right? So product keywords, informational keywords, and usually some type of social content. And we're not going to talk about that yet. But when you're going into your keyword research, you want to find at least these two. You want to find lots of good product keywords, lots of good informational keywords. So here is how to do it. And this is what you guys probably need to take notes on. And Colleen, I'll just send you this. So you probably don't need to take notes.
Awesome.
This is a slightly different method of doing product keyword research. This is no better or worse than what Spencer and Jake is going to tell you to do. This is just my preference. Because I feel like it's slightly more thorough. But any of the keyword research techniques in this case study will certainly work. I just really like this. It also uses a really cool free tool that I'm going to show you. So first thing you do is brainstorm every possible product in the market. The market you've picked is huge, right? So you're going to have no trouble brainstorming 20 or 30 different products. I mean, I would be shocked if you couldn't get to 20 or 30 products. I mean, there's just so many products in that market, and they're all pretty tightly related. So just in a notepad or whatever, brainstorm a bunch of products. Plug those products into Ubersuggest one by one, which is ubersuggest.com, I believe, or .org. I'm going to show you .org. I'm going to show you in a second. And then use buying footprints. So the one I'm going to show you is reviews. Of course, we use best, and versus is another great buying footprint. Top, cheap, where to buy. These are all really good buying footprints. But plug those products into Ubersuggest using buying footprints. Then copy and paste them and plug them into Longtail Pro. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. Get rid of the ones that don't have any traffic at all or don't have any searches. Calculate the KC of any promising keywords, and then record or save the ones that look really good. What you want to record in whatever spreadsheet you're using to keep track of them, or even if it's just in your favorites in Longtail Pro, is a cost per click, because you want to kind of know what money is being spent here. Search volume, the advertiser competition, and the keyword competitiveness. So here's an example. If my computer's not frozen. Okay, so we're going to use the hunting niche as an example. Like I said last time, I like to use hunting because it's tough to copy, because Amazon doesn't sell hunting rifles. Excuse me. So here I just went with the easiest keyword I can think of. Hunting rifle reviews. This is ubersuggest.org. What Ubersuggest does is it looks at the Google instant search results, the autofill results if you're typing a keyword into Google, for the general keyword term and then plus every letter. So hunting rifle reviews plus A, hunting rifle reviews plus B. Some of these are going to be similar because there might not be good instant results for each one, but in general, it'll look at every letter of the alphabet and populate the Google instant results for that. Then you copy and paste the popular ones. These are going to be the ones that are most likely to have searches. So you would just copy and paste those. Open Longtail Pro. Start a new project, and I've already done it here just to save us some time. Start a new project, click find keywords, go to add my own keywords, paste all of them, and then generate keywords and fetch data. Obviously, you don't have to do this only once, right? So you might copy and paste this in there, go back, try a different keyword, copy and paste those, and you could do it 50 or 100 times if you wanted to have a huge list, and that would be very efficient, and that'd be a great way to do it. Here we're only doing one. After you load those, Longtail Pro will go fetch a lot of the data. So it'll fetch the CPC, the local searches, the advertiser competition, and then you can calculate the keyword competitiveness of any of the keywords that you think look promising. If you're new to Longtail Pro, keyword competitiveness is a metric Longtail Pro uses with an algorithm we developed to show you how easy or difficult a keyword is, okay? So there's a sliding scale of difficulty. In general, if you're new to Longtail Pro, the rule of thumb is look for stuff under 35. The lower the number, the better the score is. So if I see something under 30, I know it's usually a pretty easy keyword. I don't mind going for it. If it's under 20, I start to get really excited. Something with a KC of 12 really excites me. Usually I'll go through and click the little trash can for all the keywords that don't have any local searches. Other than that though, I don't pay much attention to search volume. This came up quite a bit in the Facebook group about search volume, and people were surprised, and they always are, that I was going after keywords as low as, or with a search volume as low as 10. That's the lowest you're going to see in Google data, but they work. With my current site, I'm targeting plenty of keywords in the double digits, and they bring in lots of traffic, and that is because this search volume is not the total volume possible for any article. Most articles won't rank for only one keyword. Say you write this article, hunting rifle reviews and ratings, you might also rank for hunting rifle ratings, top hunting rifles, etc. And if you rank for hundreds of different long tails, then it might be 10 local searches times 100, which is like 1,000 visitors a month. So as long as the search volume isn't 0, I'm comfortable going for that keyword. Does that make sense so far, Colleen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so here we found like 5. Normally I would like to see high advertiser competition. That's the best indicator that there's money being spent in that niche. But like I said, hunting is unique because you can't sell guns online. So of course the advertiser competition is going to be low. I imagine in a big market with a lot of products, advertiser competition is almost always going to be high. I don't worry about CPC too much. The higher the better, obviously, but AdSense results are becoming more and more personalized, so the payouts are kind of flattening out, and our primary revenue driver is going to be Amazon anyway. But other than that, these KCs look really good. 26 is the highest. That's really strong. And then there's lots of other good ones. Plus, there's some really cool keywords here that I hadn't thought about. A 308 hunting rifle or 308 hunting rifle reviews. I have no idea what that is, but it'd be something good to write about. Does that kind of make sense, Colleen? Do you am I leaving anything out? Is there any gaps that you can see in that process?
I think the only question I have is, so when you're using Uber Suggest, you tend to get a lot of duplicates. So when you're copying and pasting those in just to work efficiently, do you delete those ahead of time before you put them into Longtail Pro?
You can just plug them into Excel, and if you go to the data column,
the plus sign, so it
kind of. So like you would just copy and paste them. I don't think Uber Suggest will let you copy the. Yeah, well, actually, but you can just remove those. But
yeah, because it copies over the plus sign.
Right.
From the, yeah.
And then in Excel, if you click the data button, there's going to be an option to remove duplicates. And so if you highlight the whole list and click remove duplicates, you'll get rid of all the duplicates, which is a really quick and easy way to do it. But if it's a small list, and most of the time I honestly just pull these if I'm looking at dozens of keywords, because I'm not going to look for many more hunting rifle keywords. I might look for recurve bows or hunting knives or whatever other hunting products I've brainstormed, and I'll plug those in so it's not going to be too many duplicates. And I really just like, these are the most popular searches for that, and over half of them didn't have any searches per month, right? So I'm not super confident that the more specific ones are going to have more traffic. If you want to be ultra thorough, you can do that. But I really just look at the top section here. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So that's how I like to find product keywords. I think it's super thorough. It does have some drawbacks. The way Spencer likes to do it, which is plugging seed keywords into Longtail Pro, can be better if you don't know the products in your market, because it'll kind of brainstorm for you based on those seed keywords. So you might just type in hunting reviews and you might see a bunch of different products populated. With our markets though, they're big enough, and with the market you've chosen, you're familiar enough with it that you're going to have no problem brainstorming products. And then by searching for these specific footprints, we can come up with, I think, more results. So there are drawbacks, there are pros and cons depending on where you are in your research. But in general, I really like this method. So that's how we do product keyword research. The important thing to note here, and this is also something that we talked about in the Facebook group, is that we're not picking a primary keyword. If you followed along with Niche Site Project 2.0, you'll know that the first thing I did was to find a primary keyword, like a big, juicy, low competition keyword that I thought could make lots of money. We're not doing that here. The main reason is we're not using PBNs or any other link building method over which we have lots of control. So we're not going to be able to build links to a primary keyword. If we find one along the way, we might still write the article because there's not a lot of risk in doing that. But our focus will be on an aggregate of easy keywords regardless of search volume, as long as it's not zero. So with product keywords, we're going to maybe try to find 50 or however many. There's no harm in finding more. We can always write more articles later. As long as the keyword volume or the search volume isn't zero, we're going to go ahead and go for them, and we're not going to focus on finding a primary keyword. Honestly, finding a primary keyword usually isn't worth it. It doesn't bring in enough traffic to spend the time researching and to trying to build links to a specific article, which is super, super hard. So we're just going to focus on finding as many low competition keywords as we can, even after low search volume. Any questions so far?
No, I'm good. So would you say, well, actually, just kidding. I do have a question.
Okay.
So would you say that I should choose like 50% of those keywords should be aimed towards informational, and then the other 50% should be more product-based?
You're stealing my slides, but yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, usually 50-50 is good. There are other types of content that I like to go for too as I flesh out my authority site. So like, for example, gallery posts. I really like stuff that can do well on Pinterest. The digital marketer guys have lots of other great types of posts that they like to do. I'm a big fan of those, like YouTube cut-ups or embed and react and like all those different types of content. In general though, I like to do 50-50 at the start. As the site grows, I typically move away from product articles and more towards articles or more towards info articles. So the idea is to have a site where affiliate content is a very small percentage of the site. And this is something that Google has said publicly that they want. They do not want sites where a large percentage of the content is affiliate content. So usually I like to do half and half because it's a good ratio just to get started. But after you have a core of affiliate content, generally you want to move into more informational or social content to flesh out the site. I think the ratio on my site right now is maybe like 1/3 affiliate content, 2/3 informational content, and it's getting it's moving even more in that direction. So probably at the end of the year, I'll have 1/10 affiliate content as I produce more articles. Does that make sense?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, so info keywords. This is a totally different type of research. We will probably not use Longtail Pro much for this, except to validate keywords we're not sure about. But here's the general idea. I'm going to pull up some of the model blogs we found in SEMrush. We've got at least 5 for all of them, and I think for your chosen market, you have almost 10. So we have quite a few, right? You want to sift through their keywords, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But SEMrush is a tool where you can see all of the keywords for any site and see which ones are bringing in the most traffic. Look for keywords bringing in high traffic that have beatable pages. So if there's a page that's bringing in lots of traffic, but it's like 10,000 words and it has like parallax scrolling and it's attracted tons of links, might not want to go for that one because it's probably really tough to beat. Most of the time, if a blog has low DA and high traffic, one second, let me turn on my lamp. It's getting dark in Chicago. If a blog has low DA and high traffic, a lot of the top articles will just be random articles they wrote on random topics that don't have any links, that are between 500 and 1,000 words. You can beat that with better on-page optimization, or at the very least, you can mimic it by writing your own take on that topic, right? So look for pages with beatable or mimicable content. I like to give more weight to stuff that I think is interesting, or stuff that I think would be interesting for my readers. And this is just because I want a cool site. I don't want a boring site. I want to be answering the questions that I find compelling, because I think it just makes for a better experience overall for the user. And I think that's super important. We want to build an authority site, and that's one of the ingredients, in my view, for doing that. When you're recording all of these, you want to record the competitor domain authority, the position of that competitor, and I mean the position in Google. So if they are number 3, record that. If they're number 12, record that. Record the URL of the page that is bringing in the traffic. And you do that because when you go write the article, you want to see what's already working, right? So you obviously don't want to copy them, but if it's about a keyword that you don't know, so 308 hunting rifle reviews, I have no idea what type of rifle that is, what type of pages are ranking, but if you can see which page is working for your competitor, you have a good idea of what type of page to create on your own blog. And then record the KC from Longtail Pro if the competitor has a higher DA. So we found blogs that have good traffic, but they might be like a DA 30, 32, 35. Those keywords might be a little bit tougher than they look in SEMrush. So if we find a good keyword, we might just want to verify using Longtail Pro that it's easy. So we might take keywords from those competitors still, but just use the KC metric in Longtail Pro to verify that those keywords are easy. If it's a low DA blog, something in the 20s, usually I don't even check the KC. I'll just go ahead and write the article. Because there's just, and this is a point I was making over and over again this week in the Facebook group, there's very, very low risk for just trying a keyword, right? It's like $25 or maybe an hour of your time to just write the article or get it written. So there's no risk for just trying, for just going for it. So really you don't need to get hung up on it. If it's a low DA blog and their article is working for them, I'll just go for that keyword. Does that make sense?
Yep, it sounds easy enough.
It sounds easy. Might be hard. Let me just show you, okay? Okay. So here is an example. This is one of the model blogs we found for the hunting niche. This is, I think, a DA 21 blog. So a pretty low DA. We could get that in a couple months of marketing, right? I have navigated to organic research and then positions on the left-hand sidebar. And that's going to show me all of their keywords. The default for SEMrush is to organize these according to percentage traffic, right? And then you can see all the keywords that are working for them. So let's just go through a couple. Deer skeleton. Not something I would pick to write about. I might not even think of it if I was brainstorming myself. But you can see that this particular keyword is bringing in the majority of their traffic, right? Which is awesome. So I might hover over the URL here just to see what the title is, the skeleton of a white-tailed deer. And then if I really am curious and I want to see more of this article to get a better idea for if I can compete, I'll just control click or middle mouse if you're on Windows, and I'll take a look at this page. This is super duper exciting. I'm sorry, this is a DA24 blog. This is like 150 words of content with just describing the skeleton and showing a picture, and it's bringing in the majority of the traffic. We can certainly beat this page. So I would be extremely excited to see this in my research. And basically you just go through and find those types of informational keywords, you know. Sometimes I don't even look at the page if I think it's an interesting topic, or if I see a trend of the content on this particular site looking one way or the other. So if I know they're not writing big epic content, if I know their pages are all 500 words, I'll just stop looking because it won't matter. I will certainly record the URL of the page so I can look if I need to, but you don't have to look at every page on the site. We're trying to do keyword research en masse here. En masse? Whatever. We're going to find lots of them. Okay. And then just go through all their keywords and see what's working. Pick the ones that you think are cool and record them. So like white-tailed deer facts, goose hunting, anything that's not about a product. So we want to stay away from products now. We are looking for informational keywords. We want to record the position. We want to record the search volume. I'm not sure if I put that in the presentation, but definitely record the search volume, and then the URL that's working for them. One thing to note here, and this is in my big SEMrush tutorial, excuse me, is that sometimes you'll find bigger keywords with higher search volume like this 8,000, that are still generating traffic even though they're on page 2, right? So turkey hunting, big keyword, high volume, they're on page 2, they're number 11. So they're not even on the first page of Google, but it's still bringing in lots of traffic for them. This to me is a keyword that's worth going for, even though if you plugged it into Longtail Pro, it would look very, very competitive. One of the reasons I like this method of competitor analysis and looking at the articles that are already generating traffic for model blogs is because you're going to find stuff that might look hard but could still be a real winner for you. So this might look like a hard keyword, but even if you get on page 2, you can get tons of traffic. That is awesome, right? So don't shy away from those keywords. Just because they look big. If they're still bringing in a significant percentage of traffic, go for it. Why not, right? Especially if it's a beatable article. Let's look at this one. They're on page 2 for deer antlers, and it's a big high volume keyword. See what it looks like. Like 300 words of content. Super easy, probably very beatable, and that is awesome. Does that make sense, Colleen?
Yeah, it does. I hope I can find some easy ones like that.
I think you have so many model blogs, I really don't think it's going to be a problem. And we've seen some of the keywords that those model blogs are ranking for already, so I think you're going to be good. And honestly, I hadn't even looked at these yet when I was preparing for the call, so this is super exciting. But in general, you should find lots of informational keywords that get you excited. Stuff that you either didn't know about and you want to learn about, or stuff that is fun to write, or stuff that's funny, like a deer poop. Who wouldn't want to write that article, right? There's like a deer hunting jokes or whatever. Yeah, like hunting jokes. Yeah. So the idea here is to find a core of articles that make some good money using Ubersuggest and Longtail Pro, and then to use SEMrush to find the keywords that are answering questions people want to know about and that are already working for your competitors. as a strategy, does that make sense to you so far?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Here's an example I already showed you. Okay, so record the results. If you are still choosing a market, record at least a few keywords of each type for each market, and you're going to use them when you pick a winner. But also, just get a feel for the quality of the keywords in each market, right? So if you have a super hard time finding product keywords with a low keyword competitiveness, that would be a huge red flag to me. Or if you're looking at model blogs and all of the keywords are of one specific type that you can't replicate or that you don't want to replicate, that would also be a red flag to me. And that might be a reason for you to move on to a different market. So you want to record the results, but get a feel for the quality of the keywords in each market, and that should help you make your decision. Week number 2 assignment. Are you ready? So,
I'm ready.
This was written before I knew that you had
I caught you off
beaten
guard.
me. Yeah, you like took me unawares. But
I'm trying to be an overachiever.
yeah, I know, and that's good. You're kicking butt so far. If you have markets, you the listener, have markets that you are choosing between, do preliminary keyword research for the final 3 markets or however many markets you have. Pick a market and organize those keywords. Usually I'll have a list of product keywords and I'll have a list of informational keywords. Mostly because I'm recording different stuff for each type. So I might have the advertiser competition in one and not the other and that sort of thing. For us, for our final list of keywords, not our final, but our first batch of keywords, the one that we are going to use, Colleen, to write the content for the site to start. We want probably 60 keywords. And we're going to do 50-50, product and info. Or if you want to be slightly lower risk, you might do like 40-60, 40% product, 60% info. But we want 20 to 30 product keywords and the rest informational keywords. So find those for your final market using these techniques. And then after that, we should be able to start planning a content strategy and actually putting stuff up on the site. Does that make sense? Is there any questions? Do you have any comments? What do you think? How do you feel? Are you still with me? Are you on mute?
Oh, I was on mute. Yeah, I'm really excited. I don't have any questions, but I'll think of some as I go.
For sure. Cool. All right. Well, I guess that wraps it up for us. Thanks so much. Colleen, you're doing an amazing job so far. I was super impressed with all your research. I hope everybody out there is kicking butt as well. I hope this audio works out because we're certainly not going to record an hour call twice. But other than that, I think we're rocking and rolling, and I'm excited.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will talk to you guys in like a week, and I'll probably talk to you in a couple days, Colleen.
Yep, sounds good.
All righty. Thanks, guys.